What you can learn from Ja Morant. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Sound the alarm. It's not a drill. Everybody be warned. We burning it down and build it back up. It's time to reform. We're ready and willing to do what we gotta do. You cannot stop it. We put in the time. We've been on our grind. Nobody can top it.
Today we're talking about Ja Morant and the recent mistakes that he's made and what you can learn from them. I made another similar video to this about what you can learn from Ben Simmons, but the point of those videos is not to like put down those players or take shots at them or anything like that. It's just a matter of these are professional players that have made mistakes and what you can learn from them as a player on a smaller level. So today we're going to talk about what Ja Morant did, what was wrong with it, what he can do to improve, and then what you can learn from his mistakes. As far as what Ja Morant did, and I don't know him or anyone who knows him, like I'm only going by what I've seen on TV and read online. And I get it that just because it's online doesn't mean that it's true. I'm just going by the information that is available. Allegedly last summer, I'm guessing it was in Memphis, Ja Morant was in an altercation with some 17-year-old local high school basketball star where they were playing a pickup game, and it got heated, and Ja ended up like punching the kid in the head like a dozen times and like flashing his gun at the kid. And then this past month on IG Live, Ja Morant flashed a gun again while he was in Denver after an away game, which is a major problem because that means, assuming it was his gun, that meant he carried it in his bag on the team plane to the Denver arena, had it with him the entire time. That's a major problem. And the press is having a field day with this story. Like, they're going in, to details, and like they're going in all different kind of angles, and like I think they're just trying to like make, get ratings from exploiting this bad behavior. But to me, it simply just boils down to the fact that Ja Morant is 23 and he's immature. That's not like a shot at Ja Morant. It's not a surprise that someone his age would be immature. Someone in his position would be immature. You got to look at it from Ja's point of view. Like, at some point when he was a kid, either him and or his parents decided that Ja Morant was going to be an NBA player. And when you have those kind of ambitions for yourself or your kid, like that's a huge deal. Like, there's a whole lot of dedication and work and intention that goes into trying to get yourself from being a normal kid to being an NBA player. And there's going to be sacrifices that are going to have to be made in order for you to make that journey. Like, NBA stars are not noted for being good, gracious, humble, well-rounded guys. One, because they're young, and two, because it's like, in order to get to the NBA, it's a lot of hard, tough work. Like, you're taught to be a cutthroat competitor so that you can even make it to the NBA. And being a cutthroat competitor does not jive with being a nice, good, well-rounded, humble person. Combine that with the fact that, like, okay, Ja's here now. Like, he's an NBA star. He's on the verge of being an NBA superstar. From his perspective, his point of view is probably like, hey, I did this. I earned this. I worked so hard to get where I am. I beat all the odds. I proved everybody wrong. And I accomplished this major, impossible goal in my life. And when you have that kind of accomplishment under your belt, like, it makes sense that he has kind of this sense of entitlement that he apparently has, which is like, when you've had the kind of success that he's currently having, it's like everyone around you, including like your parents, now it's like everyone should think, say, and do everything that I do. They should agree with it all. I should be the man. Everybody should agree with me. They should bow down, kiss the ring, because I am the successful one. I achieved this. Everyone should listen to everything I have to say and agree wholeheartedly. And if they don't, if they do anything less than wholeheartedly agree with you and kiss the ring, anything less than that is probably going to be taken as disrespect. So whether you're a stranger watching his IG Live feed, right, and you disagree with him about anything at any point, or if you're a 17-year-old local basketball star trying to ball against him, anything less than kissing his ring and completely, respecting him 100% of the time, he's probably going to take that as disrespect. And if you disrespect him, now he has to put you in your place. He has to intimidate you into bowing down to him. Not only that, but the news is speculating like he's being surrounded by friends who like he's trying to show off to and prove that even though he's this famous NBA star who's rich and famous now, like he's still hardcore and he's still street and all that. All it comes down to is that he's mature, he's young, it makes sense why he's behaving this way. It doesn't make it okay, but at least it makes sense. So now let's talk about like what he can do to mature and how he can improve. So I'm going to take this in a weird direction, and I hope that it makes sense to you eventually, so try to stick with me. So Ja obviously needs to mature, and there's two major like general ways that a young man ends up maturing and evolving as a person. The first one I want to talk about is kind of like universal. It happens to all young men at some point, and that is pretty much when they stop being young men and they start being old men, which means like at some point your testosterone production is just gonna dip down. So like when you're a kid, like 11, 12, 13, whatever age you are, when puberty hits, like 1 week you're just a normal, regular little boy, and then the next week you're full into puberty, and for the first time in your life, testosterone is just hitting you and flowing through your body all day, every day. The reason I bring this up is like because I don't think I've ever touched on this before, but I think it's an important point to make, which is like when that happens, and as strong as that hormone is, it really can affect your personality and how you portray yourself to the rest of the world. It really does kind of make you like a drug addict overnight. And a lot of people don't realize this. Like a lot of like girls that are the same age as you, when this happens, they don't understand what's going on. I mean, you probably don't even understand yourself what's happening when that happens, because it's like 1 week you're just a regular little kid that's their friend, and like the next day or the next week you're like this maniac monster who's turning into a jerk right before their eyes. And that's how strong, testosterone can be. And it's not like it's temporary. It lasts for 20 or 25 years. And I'm not trying to make like an excuse for Ja Morant and his bad behavior and just saying, oh, it's just a matter of testosterone. I'm just saying that when you're in that state, I mean, when you're 23 like he is, he's still in the midst of crazy flowing testosterone all day, every day. And when you experience that, it does make it more difficult to make good, sound decisions on a daily basis. And that doesn't really wear off until you get into your late 30s. So like if you're in high school or junior high right now, if you know boys who are like, they're just jerks, they're bullies, right? And eventually like you graduate from high school and you never see them ever again, but then you go back for like your 20-year high school reunion and now everybody's in their late 30s. The guys that you knew when you were 13, 15 and they were jerks and bullies and all that, by the time you see them again in their late 30s at like your 20th year high school reunion, those same guys who were jerks are probably, it's very possible that now they're going to be just like big teddy bears who are just like the nicest guys you ever met. One of the major reasons for that is because their testosterone is just severely dipped, and because that universally happens to all men eventually, that makes it so much easier to grow up and mature when you're not being controlled by that crazy hormone of testosterone all day, every day. But of course, that doesn't really help Ja Morant right now because he's 23 and he has like 15 years to go before that happens to him. So for right now, what he can do to grow up and mature and evolve is the same kind of process that it takes for everyone, not just males, but like everybody to grow up and mature, which is like you make bad decisions, right? And then there has to be some kind of consequences that come along with making those bad decisions. But it's not just a matter of having consequences to those bad decisions. It's like, does those consequences, do they actually resonate with you? Because ideally, like you would have a certain level of bad behavior, and then the consequence would also match that level of bad behavior. So you're not like outweighing yourself in one way or the other. If whatever consequence you get from that bad behavior, if that bad consequence doesn't matter to you, if it doesn't actually resonate with you, then it's probably not going to change your behavior. For example, if LeBron James gets fined $10,000 by the NBA for whatever, right? Is that going to resonate and matter to LeBron James? Probably not, because he's a billionaire. So $10,000 fine by the team or the NBA doesn't mean anything to him probably, so those consequences aren't probably going to resonate with him. As I record this video, Ja Morant has been suspended. I don't know if it's by the team or the NBA, but he's been suspended for 8 games. 8 games is about 10% of the regular season, which I'm assuming means he's going to lose about 10% of his money that he would have made for the regular season. Question is, does that consequence actually matter to him? Does it actually resonate with him? Hopefully it does, and when he comes back from his suspension, he'll be a better, more involved, mature person of himself. He still won't be perfect, because nobody is, and he's still gonna make mistakes, but hopefully whatever mistakes he makes going forward are not gonna be as drastic as they have been, and he'll be a better version of himself when he comes back. Hopefully that's the way things work out, but it may not work out that way. Some guys, like maybe it's like legal action that needs to be taken against him in order for that kind of consequence to sink in and really matter to him. It's just all about, like, do you actually feel the consequence? Does it actually resonate with you emotionally? Because the whole idea is like bad behavior equals some kind of consequence. Does that consequence hit you and matter emotionally, right? Because it's like you want that consequence to feel bad enough so that you genuinely think to yourself, okay, I had this bad behavior, now I'm having this consequence, I hate the way this consequence feels, I don't ever want to feel this way again, thus I have to change and evolve and mature my behavior moving forward. Hopefully, an 8-game suspension is all Ja needs. Hopefully he comes back a better person, a better player, and he continues to wow us for years going forward with his skills and his abilities. But it's all about whether or not this consequence actually matters to him or not. He's going to mature when he gets the right consequences to this behavior. It's just a matter of, is it the actual right consequence? So we finish up with the question of, what can you learn from Ja's mistakes to this point? And my conclusion is that you should stay mature so that you don't have to get mature. Meaning, if you have the right perspective along the way, you never have to evolve and improve that perspective. Which is why I always say that the building block, the one main building block of your basketball career, while you do anything basketball related, step on the court for any reason, should be, number one, at the very least, the reason you do this is because you genuinely enjoy it. If not, hopefully, ideally, you love it and it's a passion of yours, but at the very least, it should be because you genuinely enjoy it. Because if the building blocks for you are like, I want to be an NBA player, like I want the fame and the fortune, the question is like, is that going to be sustainable for you? Is that going to be fulfilling for you? Because let's say you do become an NBA player and you do make some money. Well, then when is enough enough? When do you have enough fame? When do you have enough fortune? Like, how do you answer that? Like, when is enough enough? But if your building block is, I come out here, I do everything basketball related because I love it, then on a daily basis, you get fulfillment. You get satisfaction on a daily basis because you're doing this. You're out here because you actually enjoy it. And so as you move forward and go through your career, right, if you keep the perspective that you're out here because you love it, you can never not be fulfilled, not be satisfied. There's always a feeling of like purpose on the court. Which is why when you become an intermediate or an advanced player out here, even if it's only ever, at your local park and not organized basketball, like keep in mind, like whenever you see new players, like don't discourage them. Lift them up, try to help them, because like remember where you came from. Keep that perspective. Remember how hard it was for you, how hard you had to work, all the time and effort and planning and studying that you had to put in. Encourage them to play, encourage them to enjoy the game. Try to help them, try to lift them up, because the more players that you have that are on your level, the more competition you have, the more you're able to test yourself and make yourself better. By doing that, you kind of like constantly keep yourself mature, right? So that you don't have to make mistakes and then get mature because of the consequences. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, if you think it's going to help you be a better, more mature player and avoid the kind of mistakes that Ja Morant himself has made, then please subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you hit that thanks button down below. When you hit that button, any comment that you make, and I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to say about this video, any comment that you make down below is always gonna be highlighted as long as you hit that button. And when you do that, it supports the channel directly. So anybody that does that, thank you very much. As always, like, share, comment, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any videos go live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
We've been through the fire, no sight of the rain. We came from the ashes just like a phoenix flies the plane. We ready for more, they blowing the horn, we ready for war. We on the front line, we fight for the pride, we coming with swords. We fight to the death, even then resurrect. The blood of a soldier, the heart of a lion beat out of our chest. We've been in the jungle, fought all our life, we ready for battle. We never give up, we fight as a unit, we taking the mantle.